Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to the American Made and Paid Show. Zach here. Happy Monday to all of you who are tuning in. I got to say that it's been a little bit of a crazy past week, with at least for me. I want to update all the listeners and just say that, yeah, I know I'm a little bit still hit or miss with the YouTube videos. A lot of you guys are still tuning in from that platform, but I also want to make it very, very clear that I want to tell you this too. I'm actually going to be moving in like a month, but I'm not going to have a place to live for like 2 weeks. But the plus side is my landlord's going to be giving me like more. He's literally putting money into my pocket if he says if I can move earlier. But my place, dude, I'm moving to a new place. It's going to be great. It's going to look better than this low rent thing. But
all right.
So that's my update for everybody. If we don't do a show in the first 2 weeks of November, that'll be why. It's because I'll be probably figuring some stuff out. But just want to let you know that. What's that?
No, you'll be like living in a car for a couple of weeks, I guess.
Well, I'll probably be living with a friend or traveling around or something because I can. I might come back, or I'll come to San Francisco and hang out with you. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
But okay. So speaking of San Francisco, before we get into like drag queens and all that, because that's something that I wanted to talk about. You can look it up while I'm saying this. I'm a little bit afraid of returning to San Francisco. Just like if I haven't visited San Francisco in almost a year since I got kicked out. I'm not banned or anything, but it's like, do I really want to go back and see what San Francisco is like? I mean, I know you and the counselor are there, but it's just like,
well, like I said before, like a good question is, why haven't we left? Is it a good place for kids and all this other stuff? But it goes back to my faith now. I mean, now that I got Jesus on my side, there's no way I'm ever going to leave. You know what I mean? It's true. Because, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should start talking about these drag queens.
So one thing I wanted to bring up is for those of you who aren't familiar, I think a lot of people who are listening to this are aware of what a drag queen is. It's essentially a man who dresses provocatively like a woman and like wears makeup and stuff. And drag culture was a big thing in Los Angeles in the 80s, right? I think there were like pioneers of it in like the 80s hair metal scene, like Motley Crue and all that. So, but what I wanted to get to and talk about is the creepiness of it, because there's a lot of these drag queen pop-ups, these story hours that happen in places like Los Angeles, and I think even San Francisco, to get children excited about progressive themes, basically indoctrinating our nation's youth with like gay culture and progressive culture and LGBT stuff, right? Gender fluidity, right? The whole point of Drag Queen Story Hour is to capture the imagination, according to this, and play with the gender fluidity of kids, which gives them, and they basically are playing good queer role models. I don't know, man. Like I see this and I don't know whether to, it just makes me frustrated and scared and cringy. It's scary too, because clowns have always freaked me out. And that's what these men look like. They look like clowns. Clowns scare the hell out of me. It's true though.
Oh my goodness. No, but okay, so this thing that you're talking about, it's been around for a long time in San Francisco.
Yeah, I know.
Like the story hour for kids and stuff like that. It's been, this is part of San Franciscan culture. It might be new. But it's always been that way. I don't remember a time when there wasn't that, what's that called? Oh, now I'm drawing a blank, but she was really famous. Like, well, it's a dude. This one dude used to dress up, as a woman and just tell stories, like Little Red Riding Hood and things like that. And
But dress up like a woman and read these stories to kids?
yeah. But the thing is,
Man.
nobody really thought much of it because, they were like, well, it's kind of like he dresses up like who's that person? Like the grandma from Little Red Riding Hood. And so this drag queen would dress up, like Cinderella or something like that and tell a story. So nobody really felt threatened by it. But, do actors do
my question to you is, how, I'm personally uncomfortable with it, right? There's just some pedophile gay stuff that's like happening with
Oh, no, but that's the point. You're right. Make no mistake about it. These dudes are all pedophiles if they're given the opportunity. So the thing is this: do we allow them to have the opportunity to read to kids? And technically, we have to. Why? Because we
First Amendment.
Well, not just First Amendment, but it's you can't discriminate against a person for. This is how it goes. You're guilty until proven innocent. You just
that's true. I know. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I feel like regardless of whether it makes me uncomfortable or I disagree, we need to understand that they have that right. You're right. They do have that right.
No, but here's where I struggle. and this is coming from being like a new type of Christian or whatever. But see, now, if these dudes act out, I swear to God, I would probably kill them. It's just how it works and that's where I struggle because everybody knows I have like a violent past of,
Yeah.
Like I told you before, I said it on this air. I was at one point, I had 32 counts of attempted murder. You know what I mean? And obviously I won, but I got it reduced to felony mayhem or something like that. I forgot what it was, but whatever. But anyways, but you know what I mean? It's like this is why I always worry because look, you feel uncomfortable around it. You know what I mean? You feel uncomfortable. Normal people are leery of dudes who dress up like women
around kids.
And well, not just around kids, just in general. Come on, there's something wrong with that. They're mentally ill. They're crazy. In the old days, that's why I told you, instead of believing in the Bible, I believed in this thing called the diagnostic. Anyway, it's just something for psychiatric. I didn't want to get into the book because I don't want.
And I don't want to get overly fundy here. Fundy is short for fundamental, because people make fun of all those Bible people. But I mean, the Bible does say a man shouldn't dress like a woman, right? It's I get it if it's Halloween or whatnot, and even though Halloween's paganism, we can get into that another episode. But it's just what I'm trying to say is, it's to protest. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Let's talk about it from the other side of the aisle here. Whereas the American Library Association, right, the ALA actually encourages this type of programming, and they actually say it's for social engineering purposes to educate children about progressive themes. And if you protest them, if you protest these events happening, that's when it draws a lot of attention. Is the people who protest this are white supremacists? What does that have to do with drag? That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's the problem is because the safety has already been compromised. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. There was that one guy, Alberto Garza, who used the name Tatiana Malanina when reading to young children and was convicted in 2008 of sexually assaulting an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah. No. Seriously, I know that story, which is interesting.
That's why I bring it up, because
well, my friend Tatiana, she was all like, God, you know what I mean? Because it's you know what I mean? Because it's, no, because they have very similar names. And so her last name, I can't say her last name.
And the thing is, here's the last thing. they mock Christianity in every sense of it, because a lot of just doing this is not appropriate. It's just not appropriate. It's not about like how far can we go before we start getting feely with children. It's don't even implicate, don't even
don't go there.
Don't go there. Just don't.
But here's the thing, they are. It's the truth.
It's becoming more normal every day is what I'm saying. And the goal here is to make it normalize abnormal, sexually deviant homo behavior and getting it to kids at the ages of like 3. Like, dude, I don't know.
But here's the problem. It has always been normalized. Always been. At least in San Francisco, it has always been normalized in this city. And this city, I mean, you hate to say things like this, but it's the truth. This city is spreading. Because I remember somebody telling me that this is like San Francisco is like what did they call it? Like something about, see, because I don't know this part. And again, this is going to sound, as you just said, fundamental. But something about like some kind of city with 7 hills or something like that. It is like where the devil lives or something like that. And they thought it was Rome because of the hills of like Rome's on 7 hills or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Revelations because like I'm not ready for something like that. But that's what they were saying. It's in Revelations. Like there's a city where the devil's gonna live where it has 7 hills. But then I'm thinking it's probably San Francisco because there's 7 hills in the city in San Francisco.
Oh, is there? That I didn't even know. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 7-something square mile city on 7 hills. It's kind of crazy, San Francisco, and it's its own county. But the thing is, this ideology of because look, I mean, being naked in San Francisco is not illegal. And there was like 3 or 4 fat, ugly dudes always naked around.
Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, unfortunately, but to add on to your story, at one point, this was 2 years ago, I got fooled into going to the Folsom Street Fair with a couple of friends.
It was yesterday.
Well, for you guys, but
yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's I don't. There are certain images in my head that I feel like have just polluted me with wicked like thoughts, and it's just I can't unsee some of the things I've seen at Folsom Street Fair. I don't condone it. I think it's gross. It's just
it's every year. It's every year. Seriously,
it's literally just naked bodies like out running around like no one's wearing clothes.
Well, they wear leather around their kneecaps or something.
Yeah, I know. There's that too.
They wear leather around their neck and kneecaps. That's just what they do. But anyway, but here's the thing. Going back to, that Folsom Street Fair was yesterday. I was so mad because... Anyway.
So you were mad because they probably block off the streets, man.
Yeah,
the traffic is unbelievable during those times.
Yeah, you can't get anywhere. And I was like,
I remember that when I used to live out in the Bay. It's Folsom Street Fair. Forget it. Don't go to San Francisco today. That's just
no, but it's the truth. So anyway, so going back to all of this weirdness. So the thing is like this. They have normalized it. Everything that I grew up with thinking like it's only in San Francisco has now spread around the world. And it's even infiltrating Muslim countries. And we spoke about this before, how, in theory, natural allies would be Muslims because they're super conservative. They're not having it. Anything gay, they're not having it. Like that, that girl, she was murdered by her brother. I don't know if you heard about that. And somewhere, I forgot what country, but she was a famous person and some, cleric dude was taking like racy wasn't even racy, but racy for them. So the brother killed the sister, and she was a really famous on Twitter and all this other stuff. So she was taking like these, like Kim, like half of the scandal of Kim Kardashian. She wasn't like nude or anything, but she was just exposing too much.
Sure.
But nothing nude. So she was very famous in that country. I don't know if it was Pakistan or somewhere like in Saudi Arabia. I don't know where, but somewhere, maybe Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a hardcore Muslim country. So her brother and 4 other dudes killed her. Just beat her to death, because, and the guy didn't apologize. He goes, look, yeah, I killed her because, I had to, because of what she was doing. And the reason why I bring that up, and he's going to do 20 years in prison.
Man.
But the other 4 were set free, no harm, no foul. Now then the thing is like this guy's going to be treated like a hero in prison. Why? Because they don't mess around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wish Christians understood the Bible enough to know, like, hey, look, you got to control the carnal mind, and this is wrong. And I mean,
of course, the murder and the raciness and the carnality of everything.
Yeah, but we don't, because most people don't understand it. So, and that's where I think, the Muslim faith is actually, cool. But, again, it's how they do things. It's just so wrong. But anyway, so going back to the point with these drag queens. See, now in a Muslim country, seriously, like how they do the gay dudes, and because I don't know if these drag queens are gay or anything, but they are sick in the head. But, like in the old days, and when I'm talking about for me, like growing up, a man would just open hand slap, just, like treat him like a woman. Now, not that you're supposed to slap your women, but,
right.
Say, hey, man, just slap them and say, hey, look, have some sense, go put on some pants and stop messing around with these kids. And that's my thing. I was going to get to that point. See, now, I am that type of person who would just, if this dude, and this is why it's like, man, I don't know if I'd get to heaven, because, murder would still be in my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I worry about that.
You're fine because you have got Jesus.
No, I know, but hold on. See, I know I accept Christ, all this, I really do. But if I don't want to say fag, but if these drag queens, you know what I mean? And then he whips out his penis, like, because things like this really matters.
Yeah.
It goes back to what happened at Miramonte High School, elementary school in LA, right? This teacher was feeding his semen to the children in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Tied him up, blindfolded him, made him eat bugs, his own semen. And it was caught, just by luck and chance, the guy from Walgreens saw the pictures and he reported him. But this teacher was doing this for like 20 years. And, we grew up in a school district very much like that. I mean, I hate to say things like this, but we turned in one of my teachers. I wrote this letter. It was awesome letter. And everybody was like, what? But anyway, so things like that really irks me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know.
As it should. That's reasonable.
No, but the thing is like this. I have no mercy on people like that. I should, but I don't. And that's what worries me, is like, because I know, you know what I mean? It's like, look, this dude's, he's going to go to hell, right? These people are going to hell, but that's not enough for me. You know what I mean? Not that it wouldn't be enough, but I know me. If I saw something like that, I couldn't stop myself. I just lay boot on them and something bad. And then I plan on going to jail. Yeah. And then, I'd be like, crap, I should have controlled myself.
No, of course. But that's the problem with back to the idea that the core values, right?
Yeah.
The drag queen aspect is always about like acceptance and self-expression and all that. And those are values that they claim that they want to instill in children. I don't see why you got to be drag in order to teach people how to love, accept, have joy, and self-expression. That's the thing. They take it to an extreme.
Wait, hold on. Stop. Rewind. Think about what you just said. Core values of the drag queen. Seriously, so what are the core values of the drag queens?
Well, it's all about love and acceptance.
No. That's what they want you to think.
Well, yeah, I know that.
But be honest. What is the core values of these drag queens?
to engage with children.
Exactly. Do something really perverted, really freaky, and they're teaching us to be victimized by these people. They want us to accept diseases, fecal play. They think it's normal. They think it's okay that, seriously, if you're a 5-year-old kid and you're smearing feces, that's a real thing. Like, a lot of developmentally disabled people, they smear their feces.
Yeah.
They're retarded. How, they don't know. They're like, oh, look, something came out of me, and they put it on the walls instead of putting it in the toilet. But that's what these people do. They really do. I mean, what do you think happens? So they want you to accept these things. So they want these children at a young age thinking going to the bathroom like a normal person and washing your hands and being clean is not, it's optional. It's not a good thing. They're not overt about it, but those are the, results of what happens.
Right.
And think about it. It's just teaching. That is the core value. The core value is to teach perversion. That is it. Nothing else.
You're right. No,
We're not teaching acceptance, because we're not supposed to teach acceptance.
Huh.
We could teach mercy, but, because in theory, you should have mercy on these people because they don't know what they're doing. They're messed in the head. God knows what they've been through.
Right.
Seriously, because I know, look, I have yet to meet a gay person that is my age, maybe 40, 35 and older, that didn't go through some type of abuse. Maybe the gay dudes now that are younger don't go through the abuse, but everybody else did. I don't care what kind of gay person you are, queer or T or B, whatever. It's because you were abused somehow and you don't know how to deal with this, so therefore you act out sexually. And everybody knows that. Or used to know until they took it out of the DSM-3. DSM-5, they took it out of the DSM-5 and they normalized all kinds of gay shit. This is what they do, because it's, God forbid, everybody knows that they go through psychiatric problems. So, and that's what's being taught. So, and this really does remind me of the Joker movie. I am so pumped for this Joker movie, and I hope it makes $1 billion, because people need to understand what makes a serial killer, what makes somebody go crazy. What is it? Well, what happens? Well, I'm hoping they do a pretty good job explaining it in this Joker film.
Right.
And so, because the Joker obviously is one of the, what other supervillain is really known more than the Joker? Like Lex Luthor, maybe Lex Luthor.
Well, it's the look, right? The look is just instant iconic, so it's just, and it's interesting because it's not just about like supervillain, like, oh my goodness, look at my power. It's like, the Joker is like a troubled man, like a crazy person. This is what happens when, somebody who I guess is seemingly normal gets screwed up and ends up that way.
But the thing is like this, and the reason why like I bring up the Joker is because like right now, a lot of these, if you look at like all the negative reviews from Joker are a bunch of people saying the same thing. Oh, why do we gotta watch a bunch of white people?
Oh, it's all the progressives looking for more representation. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like, why do we need to know what, about, white serial killer? Why should we feel sorry for, white guy doing this or white, that they're just bringing in race and all these other things. But
as they always do,
But the thing is like this, it really is a good experiment to engage in, to really see how Christianity honestly works. Like if you were
Explain. Yeah.
Well, because here's the thing. What happens a lot in Christianity, I just from like, why did I, what took me so long?
Right.
What takes most people so long to, like there's this guy. He was just a real shithead, right? And 2 years ago, he and this is another reason why I probably didn't find Christ until I spoke to you. This dude was a real shithead, cholo vato dude, right? And he was with his kids, and he was 4th of July playing with the M80s, and just a ghetto thing. I don't know why we love M80s so much, but the M80, he told his kid, is like, hey, let me like these things because, these are kind of unstable, dangerous, whatever. So anyway, he lit the M80, blew off his hand, and the kid got a little bit of burns, but it wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? So, and then he found Christ. Now that his hand is all fucked up, he found Christ, right? He's a changed man, and he's getting his life together, so he's working normal jobs. He's no longer thieving and things like that. But the point is this. People have to start thinking about, why do people become shitheads? So like, why was I a shithead? You know what I mean? Like, nobody really takes the, and that's why I have
exposure to perversion, even in violence.
Well, not just, but it's more complicated than that too, though, because think about it. I was in a normal school district, and we were exposed to that, very similar teachers who would, just like at Miramonte's elementary school in LA, and this is why I probably will never go to LA. I mean, or live in LA or whatever. Mm-hmm. My brother still lives in LA, but my point is this: why not? Because of, think about it. When you go to a school with mostly minorities, like poor minorities, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. It is a breeding ground. And being like, I used to represent people, for the unions and stuff like that, that was my job, to protect shitty people. But anyway, neither here nor there. So these kids grow up with people they're supposed to trust, but they end up like those drag queens who are reading to kids. Mm-hmm. Seriously, the only difference from like a elementary school teacher at a ghetto school district like in LA or San Francisco is that the male teachers are not dressed in drag. But they're all deep down inside some weirdo and just ready to take advantage of these kids. Yeah. And that's what life is like in the ghetto. So how can you blame somebody for not knowing God? Seriously, how can you blame anybody for not knowing God when they grew up the way they grew up?
Right.
All of them kids, like at my high school, we had 1,500 kids in the high school alone. Think about that. That's 1,500 kids graduating at, they're going to be 18 years old, and they're been abused since, kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And think about that. That's a boatload of people, 1,500 people just ready to hate God, ready to hate Jesus. Why? Because in their mind, God and Jesus doesn't live there. And there's like a real interesting movie. It's about Brazil, but it's called The City of God, because it's godless.
Because
like
it's godless, not because.
Okay. Yeah, not because God's there, but but it's a real thing in the ghetto. God doesn't live there. It's not that he doesn't. It's just that Christians are real passive. And I'll say something negative about my Christian parents. If I wasn't fast as fuck, they probably wouldn't have noticed me. You know what I mean? Because I get it. You can't help everybody, but, and then you try to help the person with the most potential to not destroy themselves. But, it's real heavy. It's real heavy. All of these people, like boatloads of young people. But guess who's there to pick them up? These drag queens. Oh, remember me? I used to read you stories in elementary.
And if you're in that kind of community and neighborhood where it's already being encouraged it's pretty easy to just be in close proximity to these. Because for example, I don't think you would see these people like say in the suburbs or anything. You just don't. It's
You
in the
know,
cities.
what's
It's
in what's in the suburb? In the suburbs of the ghetto in San Jose, because like East San Jose is used to be a real bad ghetto, and the suburbs would be like Santa Clara, Cupertino.
right.
And in those school districts, they had a program called DARE, which is, I don't know if you know what DARE is, but it's a program ran by the police. It's drug awareness and respect, something, I don't know, enforcement, I don't know. But the local police officers run a drug program for the elementary kids. They get to know the cops. The kids grow up knowing the cops, and they respect the police. But in the ghetto, they got drag queens reading stories.
Yeah. So it's such a, oh my, what you're telling me right now is just everything that explains what I was looking to discuss on this episode.
You know,
which is
think about that. See, and it happened. So we grew up, and remember I told you, I grew up making bombs and, you know, like literally pipe bombs. That's what we would do. We would, you know, throw M80s into Aladdin's house, and just because he had a hole in his house, you know, we were crappy kids.
right.
And that's the difference. We get drag queens, and the people of the suburbs get, you know, the police, and they have a healthy respect because the police are actually helping these kids. So and then it goes back for me, it always goes back to, you know, because should cops really be doing anything? No, because they're not, you know, cops are cops. And in theory, that's actually bad too, because they're making judgment calls. They're teaching the kids of the suburbs to be judgmental. And then they fall into the trap of, well, these gay dudes never judge because they're so different. And when you're different, you don't judge. Because you're at the bottom, you don't judge.
Right.
You see how that also works as well? And they see cops as judgmental people making judgment because cops do. Cops, they are paid to make judgments call. Cops aren't paid to listen or assess and what. No, they're paid to make a judgment call. And that is anti-Christian. I mean, everything we do, whether it's in the suburbs or whether it's in the city, it's anti-Christian. That's the trouble with this country. We are so far removed from Christ, it's not even funny. Seriously, it's just the weirdest coincidence that I've met you. And that's, you know, and I'm thinking, crap, what do we do with this now? At this point, what do we do? Where do we move from here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, I honestly believe the solution has to be through Christ. Because like the other solutions work, but the problem is this. Because I like DARE. I really do like DARE. But instead of having cops run it, I think cops should assist, just like a fireman should assist, or a mailman should assist. Like people in the neighborhood needs to assist. But, you know, like in a previous episode, I said 12 steps is good.
Yeah.
And I think we should take a 12-step approach when it comes to education, when it comes to dealing with, you know, drag queens reading to the kids. We have to take a 12-step approach. Why? Because the first thing you have to do is give yourself up to the higher power.
Mm-hmm.
You just do. You got to just believe in Jesus. This is how it works.
And it's funny how we visited that topic, you know, many months ago. It was like one of the first 5 episodes was 12-step, right?
Yeah, and I
started. What's that?
Remember, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's effective. It's 38% effective, which is really high because everything else is like 2-3%, and 12-step is 38% effective. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, and then we're revisiting it today because now I understand why it's effective. It's effective because you have to give yourself up to Jesus. That's just how it works.
Right.
You can't give yourself, I mean, that's another problem too, because when you try to give yourself to Krishna, it's not going to work. It doesn't work with Krishna or Yahweh Elohim, and it doesn't work. It has to be through Christ, because, you know, I could name all these weird gods that people worship, but it doesn't work that way. It has to be through Christ, because he's the only one that has that mechanism of loving yourself. And that's why 12 steps works. Because once you do that, you understand you have no power over your demons. And once you do that, then everything else is possible. And every psychiatrist knows this, but they just don't want to give credit to God. They don't. So these are real huge problems. But do you see how, I hate to say fag, but you know what I'm saying? Gay people. Do you see how gay people always look like they don't judge, and they're so accepting and so tolerant?
Sure.
And so these kids go, oh, they're so tolerant because they are going through what I'm going through. I'm being persecuted. Because, you know, kids feel that way when a teacher is being abusive, or, you know, it's just, because I'm not saying all teachers are bad, but all teachers are bad in the ghetto. If that school has, like, because at my high school, there was only 3 people who got over 1,000 on the SAT. Only 3. 2 were these Vietnamese who got perfect scores, and myself.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you know, and you know what's funny? This one girl, she got like a 700 on her SAT, and she actually runs the county health department.
Oh, nice. Good for her.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like, because you never know. You never know what a person's capable of when they leave. I'm not saying, you know, she's, you know, Christian or anything else like that, but I got a funny feeling she is because she was always, you know, like a lot of these kids, even though they went through the abuse or whatever, because she actually married some really like like, because we were known for our sports. Obviously all ghetto schools are known for sports. We were but it's the truth. So we were state champions in wrestling, and that's how I know I shouldn't say names, but you know, some famous fighter, and he wasn't even good at wrestling. He wasn't. But he remained healthy, you know what I mean? And he became state champion, just whatever. But anyway, so long story short, you know what I mean? Even though SATs are only 700 something, she is now the director of a medical program of the county, some county. You know, I don't want to say the county, but that said, we need people of honest to God faith who understand the way. I know. You know what? I honestly believe that evangelicals, right, need to start getting involved in school districts and all this other stuff without being preaching, because they know how to, you know, like you weren't preaching. You know what I mean? And if you could implement things just based on the 12-step, because the 12-step program is awesome.
Because here's the thing, it's all about show and tell, not tell and show. That's what it comes down to. That's how it's got to work. And dude, you're not kidding, because here's the thing, it's not when Christianity in that regard gets reintroduced, hopefully in a education system, which is where I think is the case, not necessarily like Christianity, right? But even the way, like, remember a long time ago I used to talk about how schools used to have that. But another thing that's inherently Christian is also like real personal finance. Like, that is the way to handle money and generosity and how to make it are all based off of Christian principles, really. Because, you know, you don't want to be that guy that's swallowing debt. So even by introducing that, you get kids thinking differently. But I will say, it's interesting how people who live in these inner cities, if they truly have Christ in their households, right? Even though they're not doing so well, but they have their stable families, right? They've got their morals. They have their kids that they see, and they're all intact. They're actually going to do fine. Like, it may take you like 10 years to get to a point where you're middle class, but you're if you did that every day, you'll probably be fine.
Yeah. No, and you would be. Because
It'd be more than fine, actually.
well, think about this. Look at the Christian movement in China. Think about that. In China, okay, so they had the 70-year anniversary of something with Hong Kong, like, and all this other stuff, and putting people in camps and all this other stuff. But the reason why they have been so successful.
Hey, you're a little bit muffled. Did you move your mic or something?
No.
Okay, it's better now.
Okay. Yeah. It's they're doing construction.
Got it. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Anyway, but in China, they had the recent thing about the celebration of the 70 years of communism in Hong Kong or something like that, or that they were putting people in re-education labor camps.
Uh-huh.
And I guess this has no real point when I think about it, but other than, like, just as a testament to how strong, the Christian faith is out there. The people, well, the newspapers folded, right? And they're saying what a great thing it was, even though they know it was wrong. But what kept a lot of the Chinese intact was that a lot of them actually believe in Jesus down over there. Mm-hmm. It's like a real thing. And I'm thinking, holy smoke, I had no idea that it was strong, because they were saying, yeah, my parents were, put in those camps, and they just, they had something about some Korean dude or something like that. And it was through their faith that they were able to just keep on going and escape. And I'm like, interesting. But either way, I guess there was no real point to that story.
Yeah, but there is. I think.
But on that note, well, I mean, it's just to see people struggle and go through the struggle has always, I don't want to say fascinate me, but it really is fascinating just to see what people like that girl who got the 700 something, even though because look, we all went to the same school, everybody went to the same abuses, some worse than others, but you know what I mean? She's the director of this. She married a guy who I thought was a goof. And I mean, he's still a goof, but look, they got kids and they're happy. They got a house. They're still in the Bay. And, I don't know what church they go to, if they go to church at all, but you know what I mean? They're able to do it through God.
Right.
The same thing like that dude, he was telling about his parents and how they were forced in those camps, but they did it. They survived through God. They live here in the city now. Mm-hmm. And, he's angry about, like, the Hong Kong newspaper was saying how, oh, they're traitors, and like the newspapers are, now that they're communists, they're traitors. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to realize that they got a gun pointed to them. They don't want to die. But then it goes down to the other thing about denying Jesus. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, like, there's a lot in the Bible that is still complicated to me. Like denying Jesus. Like, would I, do that? I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, in my mind, I know I'm like, yeah, but I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I challenge people, so, and I'd probably be dead, because of it. But, you can't judge other people for being weak, because not everybody knows how to fight, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, because I understand where he's coming from. My friend who was saying how the Hong Kong newspaper was, cowards and
right.
Well, he was saying that they kill Christians out there. He was like, dude, you have no idea. People they only focus on Tibet. He goes, dude, they were killing everybody. If you believed in Jesus, they'd kill you even faster, because it's, for them, it was like some kind of demonic thing or something. I don't know. Because I don't know anything about communism. Like, I've never been to China, so I wouldn't know. But from what he was saying, it was like it's a real negative to believe in Jesus out there, because they really look at it as something bad. Like, more, it's worse than how the Tibetans believe.
Right.
I'm like, really? I'm like, no, I don't know, man. I was kind of going to ask you that, if it's true or not.
I don't know much about that, so I'll have to look into that for a future segment. But
yeah, no, because it's an interesting concept, and because, like, I was actually, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really fascinated to know now, because I was like, it makes sense, because they were saying, yeah, because the Tibetans never posed a threat, because, economically, they're nothing.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, yeah, but in Hong Kong, we have a lot of Christians because, like the British and things like that, and whatnot. And anyway, so it's like, yeah, and they're an economic powerhouse. And anyway, but that's neither here. Like, I don't want to go off too far off topic, but it's just fascinating to me. You know what I mean? And people know this. It's not like they don't know it. People know this. Like, governments know the power of Christianity. And I think that's why they've sat on it for so long in San Francisco. Like, San Francisco has always been the testing grounds to see how far people will tolerate things.
Right.
Seriously, like, I remember, like, San Francisco was always known for those drag queens doing their drag crap. Always been known for that. You know what I mean? Like, they would tell stories, even in Oakland, like, they have this fairy tale thing, and the dudes are all fairies. You know what I mean? It's always been that way out here.
And why is it always dudes? Like, why can't?
Yeah, I know, but that's the whole point. I think this has always been the breeding ground to see how much people can tolerate. And since people tolerate it here, they've been expanding it out. Like, okay, so it worked in San Francisco. It worked in Oakland. Hey, look, it's working in San Jose. Let's take it out further. It works in LA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hey, it's working in Sacramento. It works in California. Hey, look, there's Sin City in Las Vegas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they push it. And then it works in New York, and it just works everywhere.
And this goes back to another thing that we were talking about regarding NAMBLA, right? And just the mainstreaming of pedophilia, which I know that this is not implicitly pedophilia. None of these people have done anything wrong yet, from what we can deduce. But it already happened once with that one guy. So it's like,
yeah.
And if these people are going to be so quick to not judge, right? You got to hold a candle to that. You got to think, like, I mean, what are we filling our kids' heads with? And why does it have to be in this manner? Why can't they go, I don't know, hang out with baseball players or cops or
or something.
And the thing is, or I mean, I don't know if they're being chaperoned. I mean, I just don't know.
Well, there's always, but here's the problem. See, it's not about them being chaperoned or not. That's not how it works. What makes these people really deadly predators is that they gain the trust of their kids. And then the kid goes, you know what? I got his business card. Or, they hey, if you want to see me online. And then they make contact with them online, or they make contact with them with the business card. And then when the parents aren't paying attention, a week later, or
so they're being groomed. That's a very common term.
Well, think about it. If you're going to run away from home, why not run away to a place where the dude was talking or saying everything that you wanted to hear?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because all these, it's like, oh yeah, that dude was cool. You know what I mean? He was understanding, and he gets me. And hell, it's a free house. Why not stay? Why not stay with this guy? You know what I mean? Because they already established some sort of, rapport, and that's the whole point. That's why abuse is hard to, convict, because these gay dudes have rapport with all of these kids who are prime for abuse. Because look, look at your situation right now. You're going to be couch surfing for 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Sort of. I don't know.
Well, no, but let's just say, like, using your situation, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have good parents and you didn't have a good head on your shoulder, in your situation, a lot of kids in high school that, can't really couch surf as easily, they will go to a dude that they met online because it's free living. They don't know what's going to happen to them. You know what I mean? Like, dude's a little quirky. But you know what? 3 meals, place to put my head down, until you're there. It's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. You know what I mean? And then they go, well, it can't be that bad. Then and then you start to rationalize.
That's where it's, yeah.
But that's what these people do. They take advantage of people in situations like yours where, you're just, look, you need a place to stay. It's not about, it's nothing, you know what I mean? It's not like you're not one of those people that are desperate.
Mm-hmm.
But how many desperate people are out there that, because like again, think about this in a form of prostitution. What type of people become prostitutes? And the question is desperate people. It has really nothing to do with God or Jesus, but the reason why they turn to prostitution, which is why I advocate that prostitution should be legalized. Why? Because if prostitution is legalized, well, guess what? It's really hard, and I mean really hard, to take advantage of somebody when something's legal. Why is there illegal trafficking, human trafficking?
Right.
Because
Sure.
it's illegal and it's easy to do. When people are desperate, you can take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm.
But when people are desperate and they have legal ways to make money that are things that I wouldn't do or you wouldn't do, well, then they could do so safely, at least a lot safer. And then they can report if they're being raped or something, they can report it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like this, the way Las Vegas does it is wrong because it's highly regulated. If you get caught in Nevada doing something, you're going to go to prison. You could lose your kids. Why? Because you have to register as a prostitute. And so, come on, think about it. You're married. You get divorced. You want, you have custody battle. If you're registered as a prostitute, who do you think is going to win? The prostitute or the guy who's divorcing the prostitute? They're both equally bad or equally unfit to raise kids, but, they're going to automatically hate the girl because she's a prostitute and we're going to judge her in a way, da-da-da-da-da. So, you know what I mean? There's reasons I support a lot because, people go like, yeah, why does Professor Drake always support like no prisons or always with the criminals and all this other stuff? It's like, because we have to understand where they're coming from. You know what I mean? Like there's solutions to help them, but sending them to prison or making, not understanding that these kids have been indoctrinated since they're little, that they're supposed to take things up the butt, that's wrong. Like there's so many things that are wrong, but we allow it to happen. That thing about them drag queens, that's been going on for at least 40 years. Because when I was a kid, they used to do crap like that over here in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time, one of my first visits to San Francisco, because my grandma and my aunt lived up here. They were like these 3 dudes swinging around the pole. And then my aunt was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Today was the gay parade. And they were just dancing around in the pole all naked. And, I was a kid. I didn't know anything. I was like, oh, that's, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Kids seeing stuff like that, you don't think nothing of it. You don't think it's normal or not normal, but it's just like, okay. But then I wasn't being abused at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a kid seeing that and you're having a real abusive thing, and it's like, why are those people happy running around naked? But my dad is kicking my ass every day.
Right.
And then that's when that kind of behavior registers when things that are bad are happening to you. So there's a whole psychology behind it. And that's why, because these gay dudes have always known this. Because why? Because they come from abuse. So now they become predators.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, who's the perfect prey? Young people. It's like that in nature. Who do you go after? When you're the cheetah, you don't go after big ass, wildebeest. You go after the baby wildebeest.
Right. That's true.
So, and that's what's happening now in San Francisco. Those will be my final thoughts.
Well, that's good. We'll end it there. Thank you guys for listening to the American Made and Paid show. I mean, hope you guys got something out of this, and leave us an iTunes review if you haven't done so already. Thanks, guys. We will see you all soon. Take care.